Yeah, we're talking about the imploding Trump administration. It's really truly imploding. And I'm with Katie Phang, the host of the
Oh,
Katie Phang show. You have to.
it's going big time. Like it's like let's fucking go to a land war in Venezuela because we don't want to deal with Affordable Care Act, SNAP benefits, um, the Epstein files, you name it, Hegseth, Pamela Joe, Kash Patel. It's like they don't want to deal with any of it. So it's like let's just have a fucking land war. From the guy who's claiming no more endless wars, we're gonna have a war.
Yeah, and I have to well, there's so much to talk about, and I framed this as elect dumbasses and get dumbass results. And speaking about dumbasses,
True
I
that.
gave you the Trump administration and the confederacy of dunces. But before we talk about Pete Hegseth,
Confederacy does work too for them too. The white
before we
supremacy
talk
does
about
work.
Pete Hegseth, let's start from the top. The cankled commander-in-chief. Katie, you were at MSNBC. You were an anchor. You saw the breathless coverage about Joe Biden, his age. Yes, he's old. Yes, he lost a few steps.
For the
But
record, I was never a Biden basher. It put me in weird space there, but I was never a Biden basher.
but we never saw Joe Biden literally fall asleep at nearly every single televised cabinet hearing.
You guys want to know something? You want to know some inside baseball? I got in trouble when I was saying that he was falling asleep at the trial. Remember that trial in Manhattan?
I
His
remember.
only criminal trial. They're like, well, he may not be asleep, Katie. He may just have his eyes.
Are you serious?
And I was like, what do you mean he's not asleep? The motherfucker's asleep. Like, I'm there. I can see the motherfucker asleep. Yeah. So anyway, the guy was sleeping through his fucking criminal trial.
Why you were at MSNBC and you looked at the evidence of your eyes and ears?
We weren't supposed to say he was asleep.
Wow. That
Anyway,
is shameful. That is
asleep.
disgusting.
The guy was asleep at his own criminal trial. And listen, and whether or not you were going to go to jail on it or not, but if you're there and it's a criminal trial and you're sleeping through it and a jury's sitting there watching you, you think that he's going to stay awake when all those are we on a family show? All the
No, go ahead, say it.
I was going to say something really bad. All the people that are kissing his ass are in that room. I don't know who's the worst, by the way. I feel like Lutnick. I read somewhere on the internet today called him like Nutlick.
That's funny. I won't lie. High school Waj laughs at that, and middle-aged Waj laughs at that too. Nutlick.
50-year-old Katie Phang laughs at that. So Nutlick and all the other ones that are, I'll say butt kissing because I have some other more graphic shit I would use otherwise. What's his incentive for staying awake? He has none. Nobody's ever going to challenge his intellect. Nobody's going to challenge him on anything. So I would sleep too. Why not? I'd sleep.
And the people that you're talking about are the ass crawlers, the ones who live deep in the recesses of Donald Trump's anus. Marco Rubio, Nutlick, Pete Hegseth, and others. All of them who know better, but realize, you know what? We've hitched our ride to this decaying vulgarian who's dying in front of us, and literally,
he's literally rotting in real time.
Yeah, literally rotting. And Katie's not making this up.
As smells.
He smells the cankles, the palm, the two MRIs. When asked why he had an MRI, he goes, "I don't know where it was." What, huh? I mean, the fact that he had two MRIs in 6 months and he doesn't know what part of his body there was an MRI, why he had an MRI, the fact that he's gone to Walter Reed twice for a checkup, the fact that I'm not making fun of people who have this, but he's had that stroke mouth. When he falls asleep, you see the mouth droop. And folks who haven't seen this video of yesterday, Trump is the
one next to Marco Rubio, that one?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's a creature of television. He knows when the cameras are on, right? He knows the optics. And he still couldn't stay awake, Katie. And a little Marco Rubio was literally talking about Donald Trump to Donald Trump next to him. And this was Donald Trump.
Yeah, the drool. I will say, so I'll share my latest conspiracy theory, which is really not a conspiracy theory and it's really not new for me, but it's kind of like amplified with his like disgusting dementia lately, which is the following. Somebody, and I'm going to say it's JD Vance and others, like there's it's a confederacy of dunces, right? But there is also this whole kind of like syndicate of conspirators that are, and this is the palace intrigue. They're all telling him to post his crazy fucking Truth Social posts. They're all telling him a land war in Venezuela is fine. They're all telling him to do all the crazy shit he's doing in Russia, everything, right? Okay. And the reason why is this guy is never going to make it through 4 years. I'm going to tell
Yes.
you right now.
Yep.
And they are setting him up for 25th Amendment. He has the physical deficiencies, he has the mental acuity deficiencies, and they're just setting him up. Like leading him down the primrose path. Post that stupid shit, post that crazy shit, make these crazy decisions, do this crazy shit, and then they're going to point to him and be like, we got to put the crazy uncle into an asylum, and they're just going to try to sit there and do a coup. Mark my words. This guy's he's either not going to make it because he physically can't make it, like literally he's going to drop dead, or they're going to 25th Amendment his ass, and JD Vance is going to come waltzing in.
So I'm almost with you. I think the same path, a little bit different strategy is they know, and I say this seriously, they know the daddy's dying. They know he's sick. They know he's not going to last, folks. And you just have to look at the evidence of your eyes and ears. JD Vance was primed to literally take over dying daddy's throne without
Yeah,
telling dying daddy. Peter Thiel is the man who has groomed JD Vance throughout his entire career, given him his job, literally funded his Senate race
they're
to
good
the
at
tune of
grooming.
50
They're
yeah,
good at
they're
grooming.
super groomers. They've hand delivered JD Vance to take over after Daddy dies, and I think the reason this is where I differ a little bit is I don't think they'll ever do the 25th Amendment on because they realize they'll crack MAGA. But what I think they're doing, Katie, is they're like Daddy's dying. Let's bum rush whatever we can through our daddy. Let's go full white nationalist,
I
full
don't think that. Why
oligarchy.
would that crack MAGA? You've already seen people like MTG peeling off. You're seeing people like Troy Nels that are saying, I'm not running anymore. I mean, there's some serious fissures that are happening right now, I think, that show that people might be welcoming a 25th Amendment to be able to get rid of him.
See, I see. Let me put it this way: where I agree with you is, I think the knives are out. I think they're all positioning to take over MAGA after Daddy dies. If they'll 25th Amendment him, I'll be happy for it. But I think they'll just wait for him to die or go comatose. And I agree with you. He ain't lasting 4 years. What he might
Yeah.
not die, but he'll be like a vegetable. You could see it, folks. He cannot stay awake. Katie's taken it back a year and a half. It was that trial where I first saw it. He couldn't stay awake at his trial. And folks, we've been mentioning it, Katie, on the left hook each and every single time there's a televised hearing or cabinet hearing, I'd point out he has fallen asleep. And
Yeah.
yesterday, and he's a creature of TV. He knows the optics and he still can't stay awake, Katie. I mean, shouldn't Jake Tapper be on this, Katie? Where is Jake Tapper?
No comment. Well, listen, if he drops dead, it's easier because Vance gets it by automatic amendment. He gets it constitutionally. As soon as Trump is dead, he's in. 25th Amendment's a little bit messier. I get it. And yet, I just think that all you have to do is point to Exhibit A through Z, which is all the crazy shit he keeps on posting and all the stupid stuff he keeps on doing. And again, you shed one drop of American blood on Venezuelan soil when people can't afford their health insurance, when farmers are declaring bankruptcy because you're sending $40 billion to Argentina, when you're, pardoning the former Honduran president
Yep.
after he imported hundreds of tons of cocaine into the United States. Yeah. Mm, mm, mm. Not going to be good.
I feel, Katie, they're cornered New York sewer rat. No disrespect to sewer rats.
Or
They
New York.
realize the backs against the wall. Like you said, negative double digits on the economy, and unfortunately, the economy is going to get worse. They realize they can't escape Epstein files because their daddy partied with Epstein. They
Yep.
realize they've overreached on immigration, and the country's now against them. They've
That's right.
realized that they're completely idiotic, and now the leaks are coming from within the White House and the FBI and the Department of War, hilarious. And they realize, like you said, the sharks are circling. And so instead of saying, okay, let's recalibrate, they're doubling down on the idiocy, the cruelty, the meanness. And they think maybe if they double down, they can dig their way out. But I don't think they can, Katie. I think the fissures are showing. I think I think this is MAGA getting, it's like a child. We're parents. A child is most loud right before it's put to bed. And I don't think they realize they're going to be put to bed. I think instead, and if they are being put to bed, what I've said before is Donald Trump is the type of guy, he'll burn everything down with him.
Like Nero.
Yeah. But Nero at
Well,
least
listen,
fiddled and
I'll
danced. I
take
don't
it.
think he knows how to fiddle.
Well, here's the thing. I'll take it. If Donald Trump has enough mental acuity left to burn the entire fucking house down with him when he goes, I'll take it. Just push out all the dirt that he has on everybody under the sun. I'll take it. I just think that, it's interesting because I'm always wavering between, is he a total fucking idiot or is he crazy like a fox? I kind of feel like he's a little bit of everything and the in between on this, because nobody could get as far as he's gotten without having some measure of crazy like a fox, right?
Yeah.
But then I kind of see what he is, and I know it's not an act. All of the stupidity, the literal stupidity that comes out of him, the lack of intellectual capacity, all of that is genuinely him. I just think what's happening is there's been a thinning out of kind of like the borders with him, which is, I think he had enough buffers in quote business and in the business world to have people that had competency, lawyers, accountants, and other tax people that were helping him through all of this. And then I feel like now, kind of out of sense of self-preservation, he understands that his inner circle is getting smaller and smaller, which is why the yes men and yes women are getting more and more loyal, I guess, by visibility. But I also think they're the ones that have the sharpest knives.
Yeah, and also the latest reports have come out is that they've insulated him. These yes men, the loyal circle who have the knives out, who are making the most money, have insulated him from all the negative critique, and he listens to the yes men. I think a report came out in the Guardian a couple of days ago. So he truly think they're the people who say, "Yes, Mister Cankles McTaco Tits, you are the most powerful
Post
buff man on
160
earth."
posts in like 2 hours. Yes, they're the ones that are
Yeah,
like, go ahead and do this. This is such a good idea. Yes, you should fucking bomb Venezuela. Fuck Maduro. And let's take some oil while we're at it, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You. This is the most genius, brilliant idea ever, and I think there is a confederacy of dunces around them, people who are cruel, have their own strategy, are aren't necessarily stupid, but are deeply incompetent. And this is where I get to Pete Hegseth, because today's latest, we'll talk about Venezuela, but of course, finally, people are remembering Signalgate. Yes, that Pete Hegseth.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Can you tell them about Signalgate now? What's
Well,
happening?
what that scandal was when? It was still 2025, my friend. That's the craziest thing. Like, that's when I feel like I'm getting gaslit that you and I are having this conversation on December 3rd, 2025. And I feel like Signalgate with DUI hire Pete Hegseth was like 14 years ago. But
Yeah.
he finally got in trouble. He
Yep.
finally got in trouble. But who's going to do anything about it?
Well, this is the thing. Will the institution hold them accountable? MS Now, it's called MS Now, is the Signalgate report contradicts Pete Hegseth's claims he did nothing wrong. It shows, quote, he violated policy, by using a non-approved device, a source who read the report says. Hegseth, shockingly, Katie, failed to preserve records. The report says he put the operations and service people at risk. And for those who forgot, Signalgate, which was not 14 years ago, it was less than a year ago, is that on Signal, which the Pentagon warned this administration was at risk of being hacked, they ignored the Pentagon, did everything on Signal to
This one wasn't
avoid.
even hacked. This one wasn't even hacked. He added the fucking journalist from the Atlantic to it. It's not even like this was a hack, you know?
Jeffrey Goldberg was accidentally added to this top secret Signalgate conversation. Donald Trump wasn't on it, between Stephen Miller, JD Vance, Pete Hegseth, and others, where Pete Hegseth copy pasted, literally copy pasted top secret information about a strike in Yemen, which God forbid if was intercepted, or Jeffrey Goldberg or anybody else who was accessing that signal gate could have used that information and put our troops in harm's way. And then after that, he then tried a dirty line for himself in the White House. And then also he shared information with his wife and his brother on Signal. Folks, it's multiple signal gates. Katie, it isn't just one. People forget there were multiple scandals.
Yeah, and you just reminded me that whole like bringing your wife along. Look, I like my husband. He's a good guy, but I'm not fucking bringing him with me to like briefings that I'm having at the Department of Defense. Like this, it's just this weird, like kind of like, what is it? Psycho, what is that word? Codependent relationship going on.
Codependent.
There's some weird codependent stuff going on. There's some weird stuff going on, but it's totally on par. I think she's also his handler in some way, right? Like she has to make sure he's not hitting the sauce in between like meetings and stuff. Speaking of, where the fuck did this guy go? You're in some like crazy, like, intense room where they're blowing up these vessels and, the testosterone's flowing and, everybody's got big dick energy. But I gotta leave because I'm the Department of Defense secretary and I gotta leave. So I didn't really watch them blow up the two people that were clinging to the smoldering debris. Where the fuck did you go?
This, for those who haven't followed, Katie is telling you the latest revised spin of Pete Hegseth because he was such an idiot, so reckless with his fake dick energy, cosplaying as a crusader this weak freaking piece of shit, cosplaying fragile assaulter of women. First and foremost, he thumped his chest. He goes, "Yeah, I'm the Secretary of War. Yeah, that's what we're going to do to Venezuela. We're just going to kill them." And then he said, "Yeah, I ordered the double tap. Yeah, kill them all." And then people said, "I think you just admitted to war crimes." And then he's like, "Whoopsie, uh, I gave the order, but it was Admiral Bradley. Admiral Bradley did it." And then yesterday, he's like, you know what? I just gave the order, but then I left. And, stuff happens in the fog of war. And then I'm sure you saw Judge Napolitano yesterday on Fox, who openly said, "I've known Pete for several years. He's a friend of mine, but this was a war crime." I think he's stuck, Katie.
Oh, well, first of all, Caroline Levitt, Caroline Levitt
Oh, that's good. I like that.
says that Hegseth gave the order, but it came from the White House, a la Trump, right? Okay.
Mm.
Then it evolves to, I didn't give the order. Oh no, Trump says, I never would have given an order for a double tap because I was perfectly satisfied with the first one. It was fantastic. It was the most beautiful execution you've ever seen, right? Then you have it being, I was there. He said on Fox, DOI hire Hegseth says on Fox, "Oh yeah, I watched it happen. I watched it happen." Then yesterday it was sitting next to Trump, who was still looking like he was falling asleep. "We didn't see it happen. I left
Mm.
the room. Plus, I didn't see any survivors because the fog of war is such that I couldn't see it. But Admiral Bradley made the call, and if he did, it was a good call." So Bradley just out of the blue decided he was going to sit there and do the double tap. Somebody had to tell Bradley to do it. He didn't just think of it on his own.
There you
But
go.
it just goes to show, though, that they're backpedaling hard because they realize this is going to be really bad. So when you lose your immigrants in terms of support, when you lose your diehard MAGAs, when you lose people because of Epstein, and now you're going to lose your military, like, what's your base left anymore? Which is why I'm telling you, I think MAGA will never survive the end of Trump, but I also don't think that they would rise to some revolutionary way to defend it if he's out. I don't really think they would.
But I think the new MAGA base, and I'm in the swamps with these people, and what people aren't realizing is that after Trump dies, and he's dying, folks, the present and future of MAGA, sadly, are groypers, neo-Nazis, white nationalists. It's Nick Fuentes.
Did you see my piece I wrote for Substack about that?
No, I would love. Let's promote it. Let's talk about it.
So I did a piece a few days ago, maybe it was last week, about how the normalization, the mainstreaming of extremism is Nick Fuentes, a la Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. The irony that I would agree with somebody like Ben fucking Shapiro, but I do. This casual flirting with anti-Semitism has now become basically a full embrace. And it's the groyper Nick Fuentes. Don't you guys remember the big hullaboo over Nick Fuentes and Kanye? Or Yee,
Yep.
whatever they call him, yay, yee, whatever. Don't you remember when he ended up going to Mar-a-Lago and sitting down and breaking bread with Donald Trump, and what a big
2.5
fucking
years ago.
hullaboo there was about it? And now it's like Nick Fuentes gets mainstreamed, and so all of his horrific, you know, white nationalism and anti-Semitism, it just gets normal washed. Because if
Yep.
somebody like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly can defend you, then you really can't be that bad. Because you know what? It's in the vein of the Charlie Kirk martyring. And the Charlie Kirk did it the right way, according to Ezra Klein, because it was this political debate. We should give space to political debate. Get the fuck out of here. We don't have to give space to Nick Fuentes for something like this.
And Nick Fuentes is the present and future of the GOP. If not him, then what he represents, folks, because I want to bring some quick receipts and tie it to what we're witnessing right now. Because people think after Trump is done, yes, MAGA will be fractured, but they'll still be a dangerous, violent minority force. Folks, with Nick Fuentes, Stephen Miller's equally racist, crazy wife, who's proudly Jewish American, was asked on CNN, "Do you denounce Nick Fuentes?" She refused. Tucker Carlson. At first, they were at loggerheads, but then they had a detente and a rapprochement, if you will, and they came together. The Kevin Roberts, the president of Heritage Foundation, did not throw Tucker Carlson under the bus. Also, Don Jr. given a chance to throw Nick Fuentes under the bus, did not. 2.5 years ago, when Donald Trump was asked why did you dine with Nick Fuentes, who's a white nationalist who said that Hitler was based and it makes Holocaust jokes? He said, huh, what? I don't know. When asked again to renounce Nick Fuentes recently, he said no. With the 2,900 pages of Telegram messages that were released that showed the young Republicans in their 30s and 20s, the new Republicans, because Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire, Mark Levine, I'm telling you right now, they're rhinos. They're MAGA rhinos. They're in the past. They're Patrick Swayze. They're done. These guys literally are doing 1488 white nationalist slogans saying, I love Hitler, rape is epic. This, Katie, is the present and future. And I think Donald Trump, as he's decaying, he has one hit that he can play. And that one hit is racism and xenophobia. You saw it during Thanksgiving. You've seen it now. You saw it yesterday where he woke up from his slumber. He goes, I just want to say Somali people are garbage. Okay, sorry. And they went back to sleep. You're a daughter of immigrants. I'm a son of immigrants. This is what they think of us. There's no racial trip up. There's no racial flare up. There's no economic anxiety. You and I had to sit there at MSNBC and CNN and listen to our producers and anchors and white establishment colleagues say, no, he's not racist. You can't say that. And we're like, this is a racist piece of shit. This is who he is. And now, Katie, after 10 years, finally, the New York Times, I don't know if you read yesterday, they didn't say economic anxiety. They didn't say racial trip up. They didn't say racial flare up. They said, wow, this was really xenophobic. Do you think America finally gets it, Katie?
Well, can't you just use the word racist? I mean, xenophobia fits it too, but I kind of feel like we need to speak plainly in all ways, all the time, which is part of the reason why it's been incredibly liberating to be able to do what I do now, because you don't have to use certain words, right? You can just call it the way that it is. And I think that I would be celebrating it more if they actually said he's a racist. A racist. I don't have to call him a xenophobe. I don't have to call him an America First, ideologist. Like, I just want to call him a racist. You know what's so funny is I remember the first campaign. God, we've been dealing with this motherfucker for so long.
10
Reagan's
years.
already president. My God. He had one of his crazy rallies and he said something horrific about Asian people, which is totally, on brand. And I posted on, I want to say it was X at the time. It was X because it was still before, it was the cesspool that it is now. And I posted the following, Waj, I said, if you support Donald Trump, like there's no gray. I'm gonna paraphrase. Like there's no gray. If you support Donald Trump, you're a racist. That's what I said. You should have seen the uproar. Like I ran over the dock. And I'm thinking, what was so controversial about it? A, it's my opinion. And B, I've got empirical evidence. I could just look at what the guy just said and did. And it's funny because this was pre the age of a double trumper or a triple trumper, right? This was the post 2016. Give him the benefit of the doubt. He's fresh. He's different. He's new. He's provocative, right? No, he's a fucking racist. He's been a racist. And everybody who was sitting there screaming it, to your point, it's like, tisk, tisk. That's a very big word, a very strong word. That's an inflammatory word. And I'm like,
Yep.
what's more inflammatory? The racist shit he's saying or me calling him a racist? And then 2020 rolls around and it's not like he fucking dialed that shit back. Then we had to deal with the whole like election fraud, stolen election bullshit. And then he amped it up for 2024. Dude, it's just nuts that we've had to be on like the backs of our heels, right? On all of this, when most of us have been banner waving, proudly card carrying, callers outers of Donald Trump's racism for years.
I don't want to get you in trouble, so this is my response, and I'm going to double down on what you said, and this is my opinion, and it's because the establishment, the institution, those who are in power are complicit, because they refuse to acknowledge the two sins of America, which is white supremacy and capitalism, and they whitewash the sins of the conservative racists. I give you Charlie Kirk. He did politics the right way. I give you the language they used to whitewash Donald Trump. racial trip up, racial flare up, the zombie narrative of economic anxiety. And the rest of us, because it impacts our safety, our security, our children, our family, we said this is a racist mother effer. And now this is a white nationalist administration. Use the words. They are promoting white supremacy. The only group that uses the word remigrate are white supremacists. It's been tweeted out twice by the Department of Homeland
The
Security.
Great
But
Replacement theory has been pushed by Elise Stefanik and others for years. And everybody says, oh, this is just kind of like lone wolf behavior. Oh, this is just some fringe ideology. It doesn't have roots in, quote, mainstream politics. And yet, this guy has created an entire regime based upon white supremacy. The entire fucking immigration enforcement structure that has been kicked into gear is to eliminate people that are not white. I do not see them deporting the white fucking people right now. It's not happening. I don't think they should be deporting any of them. But here's the bottom line. You don't see them rounding up Melania, do you? Like, what's her fucking value add? Nothing. So it's just they've literally codified the white supremacy. They've now institutionalized it in a way where they've thrown billions of dollars at it to be able to make it what they want it to be. That pretty much sounds like what I saw when I went to Amsterdam last week. And I went to the Anne Frank house, Waj, and I saw this just jaw-dropping, reminder of Nazi Germany and how it wasn't just in Germany and how it was insidiously spreading all over the world and how it went into a place like Amsterdam. And I read the words of Anne Frank and I heard the voice of her father. And, it's like, why? I don't need that reminder, but it was a real gut check for me. And I just don't understand how people can be so casual about the racism these days.
because they believe it won't affect them. They believe it won't affect their children. They prefer civility to progress. They prefer restoration to reformation. And this is what Martin Luther King talked about, his anger at the quote unquote white moderate when he wrote from the letters from a Birmingham jail. He goes, the white moderate is the bigger stumbling block than the Ku Klux Klaner or the white citizens councilman. Why? Because they prefer this negative piece to actual change. And we've seen that with Charlie Kirk, with Donald Trump, but now it's affecting them, folks. And I know Katie has to leave in 2 minutes, but to your point, I went to Auschwitz. And when I was in Auschwitz,
Same.
a person said to me, who was a guard there who volunteered, I went during the first Trump administration. We were talking about how we was talking about the invaders and immigrants, right? And he leaned in and he said, this is how it always begins. This is how it always begins, with language. It always begins with dehumanizing language. And look at what he called Somali people. Garbage. Look at what he called Haitian people, right? Rapists and killers. Look at what he's calling me and Katie. Third world. That's what he's talking about. People come from
Shithole countries.
You look at how they're talking about Venezuela, Gret Gutfield and Megyn Kelly, that piece of shit, Alpha Karen,
Oh, what
that
did Megyn
friggin'
Kelly say?
useless
I want
human
them to
being.
bleed. I
Yeah.
want them to suffer. I wish they could be in pain and suffer even more.
I mean, the cruelty. So that's how you dehumanize people, folks. And now we're all in it. We're all in it. And so we're going to be blunt. We're going to call it out. And we need everyone else to call it out as well. And there's more of us than there are of them. This is the confederacy of dunces. MAGA is cracking. The leaks are coming from within the White House, from within FBI. They're taking out the knives. They realize Cankle Daddy is dying. Everyone's going to try to get the MAGA throne. It's going to be Stephen Miller or Peter Thiel or Elon Musk or JD Vance, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nick Fuentes, but there's more of us than there are of them. And I will say, folks, even though they're a minority, they're playing for all the marbles. The present and future of MAGA is the groypers, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, white supremacists, and racists. They are misers. They do not believe in an expansive multiracial democracy that includes people like me and Katie. They believe in a monocultural white supremacy, and they will lose. But before they lose, they're going to cause so much damage and so much self-destruction. Bringing back full circle, as Katie said, the soy farmers who voted for Donald Trump are suicidal now. The rural hospitals are going to shut down. They're going to lose their Medicaid. Tyson just said a plant Tyson plant firing 1,600 people. UPS fired people. Amazon fired people. So much avoidable pain and suffering if you just taste the rainbow and enjoy multiculturalism and come to our barbecue and wash your ass. But I digress. Katie, can you shamelessly promote yourself?
Well, yeah, but before I do that, I just want to say this. You know what really gets me? It's like, why are we, you, me, and everyone else who's joining us right now, why are we forced to fight over the crumbs? Like,
Mm,
who the fuck decided that we're supposed to fight over the scraps of what's supposed to be left after the Republicans have asserted their dominance over all of the good and all of our world? It it enrages me to think that we have to operate on the fringes or in the minorities, pun intended, right? Like, who the fuck made up that law? Who the fuck made that up for us? I not only believe that there's more of us, Waj, than there are of them, but we're not motivated by trying to tear things down. We're
right.
motivated by trying to build things up. I interviewed the pastor from Chicago, David Black, who
Mm,
got beamed in the
your guess?
head with
Yep.
the pepper balls and everything,
Yep.
and he sued. I mean, he was amazing. And during our interview today, he was talking about how there's been this incredible interfaith coalition of people, by the way, people that believe and don't believe, right? There's people who believe in Christianity. You've had imams and rabbis and priests and everything there. And then, oh, who's that? Lev.
Katie.
Hi. And then
Well,
he
wait,
was saying,
well, that was supposed to come out at 4:30, but Katie, keep going.
that's okay. And then, like, what ended up happening was he was saying, too, people who don't even, maybe they have become so disenchanted with institutions like religion, like organized religion, but they're still there anyway at Broadview, protesting and doing the right thing. But what he said, Waj, and Lev would totally understand this too. He's like, democracy is not a spectator sport.
That's right.
And he said, we don't have to wait for something to happen. We have to be actively engaged to co-create, meaning together create the
Right.
world that we want to have, which is why I'm trying to say we shouldn't be getting what's left over after they've shat on it and destroyed it. We should get what we want. And in order to do that, we have to be motivated, activated, engaged, and organized. So that's what we do. We channel all of this energy, we channel all of our knowledge and all of our actual legitimate love for this country and what it's supposed to be. And we co-create an America that will not only withstand and survive what the Republicans are doing to us, but it's what we want it to be. We're not going to go back to what it used to be. We're going to
Nope.
make it into something totally new. That's the making of an America that is great. Not again, but the making of an America that is great.
Amen.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
And,
Katie.
folks, Katie, I've known Katie for 7 years. For those who don't know, Katie and I used to go into the early morning show of MSNBC where we worked for free. I used to take the Amtrak all the way from Virginia. Katie used to come from Florida. And then I used to finish the super morning show. And then right after me, Katie would come on as the legal analyst. And then we met in the green room. And then, I saw Katie's ascent, and then MSNBC recognized like the massive talent that she was. And then they had her as a co-host, and then she was on one show, and then they had her as the host. And I remember seeing an Asian American woman who's proud of her Asian American roots as the host. I'm like, this is awesome. And then MSNBC effed up and got rid of all the people of color because, like Katie said, full circle, they bent the knee to Donald Trump and tried to placate a racist and a white nationalist. How did that work out? And now Katie is unleashed and she is even better than before. This is raw 100% unleashed Katie, which is the best Katie. And so you have to support her. Katie has her own Substack. She has her own YouTube show, but she's also doing 8,000 different things. Katie, do something that we were trained never to do as children of immigrants. Shamelessly promote yourself.
So I do have a YouTube channel, Katie Phang News, and I am at Katie Phang at Substack and all other social media. And Yeah, it is hard. Isn't it funny? It is hard to promote, especially as a child of immigrants. I
Right?
can promote
It's like
you. It's hard to promote ourselves. So
it's
it is hard.
crazy. It's incredible. But Katie, before you go, I actually reached out to you, and one of the things that we definitely need to, as a group, everybody unite. And I've been speaking to a lot of different people behind is we have to protest and stop with this Trump abusing women reporters and attacking the way he. I mean, we have to stop letting them come in there and taking their, this, and we have to attack the, the what's it called? Programming, the producers or whoever is pushing them in there to make them do it, because Donald Trump, first of all, he's lying. There's no news that's coming out of there, and he's abusing them, calling them names. This is the most powerful man in the world. If this was done in any other place, any other work job, this man right now would be either, shunned in prison. But this is the most powerful man, the platform, and he's going out there calling him stupid, piggy, and there's nobody even protecting him, standing up to them, and everybody's trying to get in there. Imagine this. I know Donald Trump very well. You guys know that. You know what would kill him? If he walked into a press conference and there was
And it
nobody
was
there.
empty.
Empty. It was
Mm.
empty. You know what, Donald Trump? You know the only people that would be there is Benny Johnson and Laura Loomer. He would have a heart attack, and that's what needs to be. Just like they kicked them, the reporters out of the Pentagon. There's still reporting going on. There's sources that's happening. We should teach them a lesson. Why is this? My 18-year-old daughter, Katie. You know my family very well.
Yeah,
She
very
came
well.
home from a couple of days ago. She came from college, and she was like, "Dad, why is he allowed to do that?" Like, her
Mm.
and her friends were like really on that mode. Like, why, with the Epstein stuff, with everything going on, why is he allowed to go out there and call women piggy and stupid and insult them? And it's primarily towards women. And you know what? Some of my sources have been telling me it's not just reporters. He's been doing it also inside with people in the Oval Office. And it's just the real Donald Trump is coming up. And we need to do something about it. Where's the Me Too movement? Because he's no different than Weinstein. He's no different than Epstein. He's no different than any of them. And we need to teach him a lesson. He should not be right now. We should not. We should boycott everything that Donald Trump, every press conference he does, the guy lies over 30,000 times anyway. He's out there just to, So I definitely want to reach out to you, and I'm trying to build a coalition to boycott this somehow, to stop this, because this is no way for him to go out there. They're the president of the United States, millions and millions of people. These women have kids, they have family, they have husbands, they have partners, they have friends, and then to go out there and to be embarrassed like that just for asking a question. Just think about it, for asking a normal question, and we can't normalize it.
And their colleagues never stand up for them. This has
That's the
happened.
crazy part, Wash.
This
Sick.
happened twice in the past 2 weeks. He's called a legitimate question by a legitimate reporter, and he called her piggy. A legitimate question by a legitimate reporter. And he said she's an idiot and shut up. And no colleague stood
Sick.
up and defended her. Katie, I know you have to go, so I won't
Sorry,
keep
yeah.
you much longer. I'll bring Lev on. Thanks, Katie. Thanks so much. And for everyone
Bye,
who's
everybody.
coming here from Katie's Substack, stay on. I'm talking to Lev for 25 minutes,
Yes,
and we're talking
please.
about the other dunces. We're talking about the Jared Kushners, the Kash Patels, the Dan Bonginos, and the Steve Witkoffs right now. Uh, okay, so we're talking about the Confederacy of Dunces, Lev. The framing is elect dumbass people get dumbass results. We talk about Pete Hegseth. We talk about Donald Trump literally dying before our eyes. But I want to talk about a couple of things. First, let's humiliate these people even more. So we got dumbass Hegseth. He's stuck. But Kash Patel, these leaks have to be coming from inside the FBI. There's no other way, Lev. The recent leaks are saying that he's rudderless. He's, quote, paralyzed with fear. They call him Make-A-Wish FBI director. A story leaked that was intended for maximum humiliation of Kash Patel, where it said that Kash Patel didn't want to leave the jet and come to the presser without an FBI jacket, but they couldn't find one his size, so they found a medium female FBI jacket. It was the only jacket that could fit him. Now, there's nothing wrong with wearing a female jacket, but because these people are so insecure, because they're so misogynistic, that detail that leaked was done for maximum humiliation. In addition, that story that he used the private jet to party around with his girlfriend using taxpayer dollars and taxpayer fuel. All of this is coming from inside the White House. You tell me, excuse me, the FBI. You tell me, Lev.
I mean, listen, I'm gonna say what a lot of people write in your message, and we've been talking about is where's Dan Bongino? I mean, yes, the leak, the leaks are definitely coming from inside the FBI. I'm not gonna say it's Dan Bongino leaking, but there's so many different people right now. There's so much disarray. They're on their, since I'll tell you honestly, Watch, since November 4th, when we had those elections and when the people came out and stood out, and really he's been on his heels. The Epstein files are about to come out. The leaks are coming out. We have more Epstein leaks, emails coming out. They're showing more and more of what's going on. And yeah, I mean, the one thing I do want to just caution everybody, and I know MSNBC broke a story saying that they heard leaks that he might want to that they're tired of Kash Patel. He's embarrassing. They want to get rid of him. I want to caution everybody and to tread lightly because from what my sources are telling me, Kash Patel's not going anywhere. Hegseth's not going anywhere. These people are. There's nobody else is going to do the dirty work that they're doing for him, and there's just so much dirty work that has been initiated, and there's just such a mess behind the scenes in these, from the State Department to the Pentagon to the DOJ, from everything that's going on, because we don't have normal investigations happening. We have people going after Trump's list of retribution, and the one thing I'm hearing, Waj, is there's literally within the next week or two, we're going to see him test the pardon, not only the pardon power that Biden signed, but also certain policies that were signed by, because I'm hearing that he's going to reverse certain basically certain policies and and basically all the pardons that Biden, they're going to test the auto pen. He's gearing up for it. He's mentioning it several times. So yeah, so there's a lot going on without even touching
So
the,
yeah,
to
so
dumber
he
and
to
dumber.
me, we'll take it top down. To me, he clearly is dying. He's sick. He's cankled. He had two MRIs on 6 months. He couldn't remember what part of his body they did an MRI, probably lying, maybe dementia. He has the stroke mouth. He's a creature of optics, like you said. He knows how to work the television. And despite that, he's still falling asleep because he can't stay awake, knowing how bad the optics looked yesterday. And the optics yesterday looked terrible, Lev. Marco Rubio's literally sitting to his right, talking to him, and he's knocked out cold. In addition to the horrific stuff he said about Somalis and calling them, and all the rest of us, let's be honest, garbage.
Yep.
Then you have Pete Hegseth, in addition to him now being stuck on, let's just be honest, killing people, extrajudicial assassinations, murder. Now Signalgate has come back, and people are like, "Oh yeah, Signalgate." And the report shows that this guy, buried the report, has no evidence anymore. Apparently, deleted it. And now the White House is saying, "Oh, he got exonerated." He didn't get exonerated. He put troops in harm's way. Then you got Kash Patel. I agree with you that he needs Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Pete Hegseth because they are loyal warriors. So they're like, you know what? As I'm sinking, at least they'll stick around me and protect me, right?
They're not
I
even
want to
loyal.
talk
I want to just correct you. They're as crooked as him, and they're as
crooked loyalists,
crooked
crooked
and
loyalists.
complicit as him. So they're yeah. Now to take you.
Yeah,
I
they're
just
like, we
wanted to.
gotta, we gotta help each other, man. We're all in, and I feel like they're just digging that they're digging in deeper, deeper, deeper down, and like we can dig our way up. They're like, we can get out of this. They can't. So it's
Yeah.
all the way up and all the way down. But speaking about the people who I really want to go down, Jared Kushner, Stephen Witkoff. I'm finally so happy that this story that you've talked about, I've talked about for like a month and a half, is coming out. Talk to us about this massive scandal that should shame Witkoff, Kushner, and Trump forever.
I call it, if I call Eric and Junior Twiddledee Twiddledum, these guys I call dumber and dumber. I mean, just think about it. You just said something very interesting. You had Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, sitting next to Donald Trump in the Oval, while at the same time you had Steve Witkoff, the fixer, and Jared Kushner, the bagman, literally in sitting there for 5 hours, in with what's his name, Vladimir Putin. So let me break down what really happened in the meeting because I've spoken to sources that were literally, I'm not going to say where they are because we don't want to expose anybody, but directly you could go to the bank on this stuff. So for like about an hour and a half, Putin was teaching them Russian history, Russian Ukrainian history. He went into this tirade of going into their basically explaining to them how Ukraine is part of Russia, and then he went into them explaining to them how the corruption and the Zelensky and then the Nazis and went into that to get their head on, and then basically they put all of that aside where he basically said that the 28 point. Not the 20 or whatever peace point that they came, but the 28 peace point might be something that they might be willing to use as a starting point. And which at that point we already spoke about was basically a surrender, giving up land that they didn't even take over, and so on and so on. So that whole conversation about probably took maybe 15 minutes, folks. 15, 20.
Mm,
That was the whole peace conversation. Then let me now break it down to you. I have some notes here, what they went into. So they spoke for a while about energy and Nord Stream 2 logic.
mm,
How to restore and reinvent Moscow's energy chokehold on Europe through new routes. That's what they spoke about. They spoke about different donors and corporations that would set up shell companies and joint ventures, while Trump was going to sell it back here as a way to cheap energy and great deals as America making money because of controlling the Nord Stream to basically Europe. Then they also spoke about critical minerals and rebuilding contracts. If you remember, one of the things that we spoke and I hit the alarm bells is with that mineral deal. I told you it was
yeah.
all bullshit. We came here with Waj. We spoke about that it was just, something to stall for time. Well, they're talking about those minerals because they were discussing it as basically Ukraine was taken over already, folks. In their mind, they were already divvying up. That's why Kushner was there, and they were talking about how to carve up the resources, who's going to get the contracts in the reconstruction of certain real estate projects, which oligarchs were going to partner up, Russian oligarchs with American companies that were going to go and do the reconstruction, friendly investors positioned to cash in basically while Ukrainians are burying their dead, Wash. So
Mm,
that was another subject. The other thing they spoke about was sanctions and access, which was basically restoring Russia's back into Putin, giving them economic relief, start basically opening up Russia's trade and allowing them to start they're rebuilding their economy. And the interesting one, they're all interesting, but the interesting one I found was the last one, was that they spoke about getting Russian oligarchy investment into the United States, how they were going to push Kremlin linked money quietly and have it flow through real estate, through energy, strategic projects, through partnerships that are going to be connected to Trump donors, and basically some of the people I'm hearing names. I don't want to break it yet until I confirm it, but some of the names that are popping up over and over, where you see like donations on the ballroom or donations like here and there. Well, so and it's basically a build of oligarchs. So that is what was discussed for now. It was basically conversations of legitimizing the legitimizing Russia back onto the world stage and bringing their economical back to power. It was talking about how strategically to intertwine Russian oligarchs with now we'll call them American oligarchs, which are considered, I put them in a class of not only the tech bros, which we think of as oligarchs, but also Trump oil and gas guys, Trump real estate guys, basically wealthy billionaires that are now going to be able to intertwine with the Russians to be able to, from, like I said, energy infrastructure. And peace, maybe there was 15, 20 minutes and it wasn't a peace. It was rejected to the degree that Witkoff and
Kushner.
what's his name, Kushner, didn't even have the gall to call Zelensky or he make an announcement. They told the Russians that they were going to go back to, they're not going to go meet Zelensky, go back to the United States. And the Russian spokesperson came out and made fun of that on Russian TV, basically, that Zelensky's waiting for them, that he's going to keep waiting because they're going straight back to DC. And it's interesting because Trump today, when asked I was listening while you were on with Katie. Trump was giving his usual oval question Q&A, and he was asked about, what is, going on with the Witkoff, and it was interesting how he phrased. He said they had a wonderful meeting. They
Mm,
discussed a lot of good things,
mm.
and he said this quote. He said, "I told Zelensky you were all here when that he has no cards, and that was his best opportunity to take the deal." Well, now let it just play out. But from what I'm hearing, it was a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And as we've been talking about, as we be sounding the alarm, Waj, this is all about, you're seeing it, normalization, Russian. Yeah, you take a look. Kirill Dmitriev, folks, I ask each and every one of you, please go take a look at Kirill Dmitriev's X or Twitter. You will be amazed to see this guy is posting trains, underground trains between America and the United States, projects, real estate, praising Donald Trump. I've, I mean, folks, to me, I've been in this world for over 53 years, and I've never seen anything the way they are stroking him, the way they are playing him. It's basically and it's working.
Uh,
He's giving it up the farm.
it's the cliff notes is America's for sale and our allies are for sale, and Europe, especially Ukraine, is for sale, and it's all transactional, and they're willing to give up Ukraine, the United States, national security, and our allies to drink all of our milkshake and feather their nest. That's what's happening. And
Yeah.
Witkoff, folks. So America's for sale. Russia, you want in? Go ahead. What can we do for you? We're your middlemen as long as we get rich. Saudi Arabia, what do you want from America? Give us money. We're your guy. Stephen Witkoff and his son got $1.5 billion from the Gulf countries. Jared Kushner got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia for his stupid company. Right now, they're going to say, oh, it worked with Saudi Arabia. It worked with Qatar. Let's go try it with Russia. Russia's like, great, you're corrupt. You be our middle guy. We get Ukraine. We become great. We buy out stuff in America. We drink your milkshake. We'll make you rich. Qatar. Qatar realized what's happening. Like, all right, we'll give you a $400 million plane. Trump's like, fantastic. All right, you want to open up a resort in Doha? We'll do that. Great. Give us Idaho air training facility. Fantastic. Folks, I'm in DC, Virginia. I always joke, if you close your eyes and threw a pebble, you'll hit someone. Doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat, who is literally being paid by Saudi Arabia and Qatar right now in DC. So they're investing up in all our property. They're gobbling up all our milkshake, our sports, our technology, right? Our entertainment. And we're just selling it out. As we're selling it out to foreigners, Russia, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, we want to get rid of leeches and immigrants from third world countries. Make it make sense. Oh, yeah, it makes sense when you're a white supremacist and also corrupt as hell and are perfectly willing to sell the country and our allies for the highest dollar. This is what's happening. Jared Kushner, last time I checked, has no role in the government. Jared Kushner, last time I checked, is not part of the Trump administration. But this mother effer is there since the first administration and the second administration. And speaking about Jared Kushner, because I hope nothing's going to happen. They all fail up, Lev. But I hope maybe one day, inshallah, there's some accountability. No one's explained how Jared Kushner had access to MBS in the first Trump administration, why MBS bragged to everybody had Jared Kushner in his back pocket, why, according to reports, Jared Kushner okayed the red wedding purge that helped MBS get in power. And then the first place that Trump administration visited was Saudi
Saudi
Arabia, where
Arabia.
Steve Bannon was dancing with swords. And then who gave Jared Kushner $2 billion? Saudi Arabia. And then when MBS visited recently, who literally laid out a red carpet, had jets flying over, and then acted as MBS's, personal rehabilitator, Donald Trump. And now they're doing it for Putin and Russia.
And
And
don't
this
forget,
peace plan. Go
and
ahead.
don't forget, no, no, and don't forget who introduced Kirill Dmitriev and Jared Kushner and made the wedding? Saudi Arabia. It happened in Saudi Arabia, 2017.
And
So,
who was the person that was sent by Donald Trump and the Trump administration to talk to Putin? Steve Witkoff. Who is the person who was caught with an audio leak and speaking about how it's leaking? We like to keep receipts. A week ago, maybe it was now 2 weeks ago. Talk about what Bloomberg, the 5 minute audio.
oh my God! Like, and this is the incredible. It's going both ways. I actually wrote about. There's going to be another leak. I think Putin's flipping out because. So let's talk about the Bloomberg. Bloomberg basically is breaking leaked reporting. I mean, audio of how basically Steve Witkoff is telling the Russians how to stroke Donald Trump's ego, how to tell him that he's a great negotiator, how he's a peace, and in the meantime like this, they'll be able to put in their 28-piece plan, like literally telling him how to, talk to them,
Work
but
over the
work
president of the
work
United
over the
States.
president of the United States. You can't make it up, but it's part of the grooming that Witkoff has already acquired because he's been there 7 times. So what happened on this trip, just so you understand, to Moscow, before they went to meet Putin, it was reported that they were all around. But what my source had told me that was very close with them, Kirill Dmitriev picked them up from the airport, gets in the car with them. On the car ride, he starts explaining to Jared Kushner of how to deal with Putin. Then they go to this fancy Michelin star restaurant where he feeds them caviar, champagne. They get champagne, caviar, all kinds of stuff, like literally. Then they go on to the Red Square for a tour of Russia. They take him. All in the meantime, the conversation, not with Witkoff, but with Kushner about how to speak to Putin, how to, because remember, they were going to talk about all these different deals, and all these different deals have all these different components that have to be put together. So they were basically, he was teaching Kushner of how to speak to Putin,
So it
just
goes
like.
both ways.
Oh, it goes both ways. Yeah, but that was because that's the Kremlin style. They trained Witkoff because Witkoff thinks he was telling them what to do, but they were actually already pre-trained, so they know how to deal with Trump already. You understand? What I'm saying? They already have
And
Witkoff
also,
basically on the
can you
leash.
remind Lev? Can you remind Lev that the 22-point peace plan was laundered and came from Russia through Witkoff?
Oh yeah, well it came in October. It was a 28-piece plan. First, originally it was a 30-piece plan that went back to even during the Biden era that what the Russians were trying to push through. Then they took out two key parts that would have basically shown that it was an originally 30 to make it look different. Kirill Dmitriev, when he came here in October, handed it to Witkoff and Kushner. Even the Russians were astonished what Witkoff did because they thought that he was going to take it, fine tune it, put American language in there, and make it so this way when they do the proposal, it sounds like it's an American proposal. Well, Witkoff, he basically went to Google Translate or AI Translate, translated the actual thing, and then handed it to Rubio during when MBS. Again, this is so crazy. While MBS was in the Oval, this is when Rubio got. This is what my sources are telling me. I mean, again, we could try to validate, verify that, but handed it to him. Then Rubio filed, but it was already too late because they already leaked it through the State Department, and it already got leaked to the Ukrainians, and that's why when Rubio got it, Rubio first had no idea what the hell was going on. And then when they started, when the Europeans took a look at it and said, wait a second, this translation, this doesn't translate as an American deal. That's when the senators started questioning Rubio. Rubio basically,
It starts with comrade. Comrade, hail Russia. This was written in the White House. I swear.
you can't make this shit up. I mean, that's
It,
why I call him dumber. Like, just think of what is Kushner. Forget about already Steve Witkoff. Okay, Steve Witkoff has already been 7 times. He's already Russian. I think he's going to get a dual passport. I mean, I think he's already got properties and businesses in Russia. Steve Witkoff is bought, sealed. He's done. I do not. But tell you, what does Jared Kushner have any clue about Russia, about any geopolitical play between Russia and Ukraine? What? Explain to me, Waj. This is what I'm trying to say. How is it okay, and how is the world okay, and how is the media not asking yesterday? Well, you got the secretary, our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who's actually a politician, who's been a senator, who spent 2 days negotiating a peace deal with the Ukrainians. He spent there because Dumber were just sitting on the left of, but Rubio was the one that was negotiating the deal with the Ukrainians, and he doesn't get to go to sit down with Putin and negotiate the deal. He stays back and has to be part of that. What's that new oval meet when he has everybody praise him, like
oh
they
yeah,
go they go around the
fellatio
room.
square. I think it was called verbal
Right.
fellatio square.
Yeah, it's like everybody takes their turn. They go around, and you had Marco Rubio sitting right there saying how great it is to be sitting here while Steve Witkoff is right now, as he goes, as we're sitting here, Steve Witkoff is meeting with Vladimir. Like, how do you even like? I don't even know. Like, I sometimes sit to myself and think to myself, like, when I was involved with this was all like really some shadow diplomacy shit. I like they were scared. We were scared that somebody would find out, that the media would find. We literally, I remember when we went to London, we had to get Rudy a contract from like the synagogue or somewhere that he was going to be speaking at to make it look like he was going there, so they would know that he's meeting with fear. I mean, we did like some real spy shit, Wash. Like we were now. It's like why didn't you like I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself like I feel like I'm living in the twilight
Because
zone. I can't.
the hoods are off, Lev. The
The
hoods are
hoods
off.
are off. You're
They
100%
have all
right.
the
The hoods are off.
power. They're you see, the thing with power is you get arrogant, you also get sloppy, you get lazy.
Yep.
And this is what's their own downfall: their sloppiness, their recklessness, their laziness, their incompetence, right? Because there should be some subterfuge, there should be some shadow, there should be some subtlety. But they're so brazen, so arrogant, so reckless, right? They believe they're going to be in power forever, like the Pharaoh. So they're just doing it out in the open. And
Yep.
now they're saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to stop me? And anyone who stands up, a woman, a female journalist, they're so fickle and weak, they melt down.
Yep.
You're seeing it with Pete Hegseth, right? Thumping their chest, all insecure men, like all insecure bullies, right? And now I feel like Donald Trump, because he's dying and because he's surrounded by sycophants and because he has the Supreme Court, because he has the corporate media, because he has the oligarchs, because all the institutions have essentially bent the knee, he's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Do your worst. What are you going to do? And now they're not only is he openly just selling out our allies, selling out national security, selling out Ukraine, selling out America. He's doing it publicly.
Yeah.
And furthermore, folks, as a proof to my, let me add some more evidence to make my, to strengthen my claim. Look at the pardons, the utter shamelessness and stupidity. We're going to go against Venezuela. We're against drug cartels. Oh,
That's
by the way, I'm going to pardon the ex-president of Honduras who's serving 40 years for drug trafficking. I hate leeches, and we're gonna drain the swamp. I'm gonna pardon this venture capitalist who stole over $1 billion, who hasn't even who's about to start a 7-year sentence. Oh, by the way, another fraudster, Henry Cuellar, gonna pardon him. George Santos, gonna pardon him. 1,600 violent insurrections, gonna pardon him. CZ, my business partner who helped my family make $5 billion, gonna pardon him. They don't care, Lev.
Yeah. Listen, we've been sounding the alarm watch for ages. I mean, when I say ages, I apologize. It feels like ages. I've been, doing this for 6 years since the day of my arrest, since I decided to speak truth to power. And, it's been a journey ever since. But since we've joined, Substack, since I've come here 7 months, I could tell you this was, I mean, me and you have been talking about on every platform I go on. It's like we sound the alarm. It's so obvious. And then, you know what? It starts, but you know what? It starts with the media. Let's call a spade a spade. And because they're giving him the platform right now, it's all of these big corporations, and that's why when Katie was on, and that's why I say I think right now we really need to take a stand because right now we have already platforms for independent journalism, like yourself, like Aaron, like others that are bringing the news to it. We don't need ABC or CNN or MSNBC or whatever they call them. They're inside there now. We need to just think about what we did with Jimmy Kimmel when they, when we came out, we stopped Disney, stopped the subscribers. It took under 24 hours. Jimmy Kimmel was back. If we do the same thing and just like stop, playing into this game and giving him the platform, stop listening to the lies. You know what? If you're not going to respond back to him, just stop going there. Everybody, just one day, just walk out, boycott. Trump press conferences, Peter Hegseth press conferences. The news is still out there. You still have the
Lev,
sources.
you would die. I
He would
thought about
die.
this real
He would
quick.
die. He would die.
I thought about this. This is a strange analogy. It's a deep cut for people who grew up in the 90s. I've thought about this a lot for 10 years. Because, first of all, you have to follow what Trump's doing, or else people wouldn't know the rank corruption, cruelty, right? So that's one. But number two, his oxygen is media. His oxygen is egotism, self centeredness. He needs to be the center of attention, right? So there was in the 90s. This is a deep cut. There was a miniseries called Merlin, starring Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. He was Merlin. And at the end, the way he defeats his nemesis at the end, who's so powerful, all he does, I remember this as a kid watching it in high school, he turns his back and she says, "Look at me, Morgan Le Fay, look at me." And he just ignores her. He ignores her and he looks away from her reflection, and then she dies. And I've always wondered in a strange way, if we deprive Trump of that oxygen, won't he die?
Yes, yes, because that's just think about Waj. This is why I'm begging everybody to. This is the most important thing right now, besides the Epstein files and everything else we're talking about. This is beyond his kryptonite. This was Rudy's problem also. Why Rudy sold his soul to Trump? He needs the attention. That's why he does the Q. Just think about it. Every day he does an announcement, but the announcement, it doesn't matter what the announcement is. It's about the Q&A and the fight that starts happening with the press every day. That's what he loves. That's where it's the other part of his rally, because he's using the press to be able to go and get out to millions and millions of people what he thinks. If we boycott that, if we took away from that, if we shut him up, if we said turned our backs like you said on him, he would exactly he would die. I mean, he would literally not know what to do with himself, because that's even in 2000. If you remember how he even came into power, he was able to not pay for media. We were able to, in
Yep.
2000, manipulate the media to follow and to listen to what he want and get free advertising, because he would knew how to do it, and he's still doing it. And that's why this is where I think we should all unite and turn over to independent journalism instead of that, and shut it down. Shut it down. Just think about it. What would journalists do if Donald Trump came out tomorrow, like he does, like Caroline Levitt does, and tries to abuse and threaten them? We're going to throw you out of here. We're going to just put mega journalists in there, just like they did with the Pentagon, where they said where you have Laura Loomer sitting behind the seat of the Washington Post. So just think about it. Not, but don't wait for them to do it. See, this is what I
Listen,
say. You got to be on the offensive. Do it to him and this is the key. Use because it's bipartisan. Because Republican women don't like to be called stupid or piggy also. Republican independent women don't want to hear that. We all have husbands, daughters, fathers. So this is a unit, just like the Epstein files. But make a bigger deal than it is.
because they're cowards and they're
Yes.
complicit. and they
Yes.
chase ratings. And they've been complicit with Trump since the beginning. Zucker has been of CNN. I'll never forget this quote from Les Moonves because I think it's so pure. It was 2015. He said it publicly when he was the head of CBS. And he said, Donald Trump might not be good for America, but he's great for CBS. And that is such a beautiful, honest explanation of how corporate media, institutions, and the establishment has been complicit with Trump. All the industrialists, the oligarchy. But hey, because he's good for me. Who cares about freedom and democracy? And what we've said, and like you said with the press, he comes for everyone. Gutted the Pentagon press. All these anchors have lost their cushy positions. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Of course not. So I hope enough people join us. I hope enough people join the multicultural majority. I think he's weak. I think MAGA is cracking. That doesn't mean they're not dangerous. I believe the present and future of MAGA is much worse. I believe they're neo-Nazis, white nationalists, and white supremacists. I believe groypers and what they represent is the present and future of GOP after Trump goes. But they're fractured and they're in the minority, and there's more of us. Lev, I'll let you go. I know you had to leave at 5. Shamelessly promote yourself.
Yeah, I just hold on a second. I just want to put this in the hold on a second. Some this is so
You're typing
I
away.
yeah, I typed it. I put it in there. So Lev PTT at proton.me is an email we set up, a volunteer hotline. Basically, we have a group of volunteers, a big group of subscribers, supporters, run by an incredible woman, but Jay. She's so for all of you that I know, because a lot of you have been texting saying, "How do we help? How do we get in touch? How do we, I have ideas." You can email that. It's levpttp at proton.me, and just type in how you want to help, how you help, because we want to expand this movement. We want to make sure that we go out there and we put a stop to Donald Trump. And this is one of the things, trust me, folks, I have a lot of sources, and some of my sources are telling me that he's not only attacking reporters, women, he's acting like this inside his own administration with people that are around him, women that are working around. This is the real Donald Trump, because remember, this is where he came from. Epstein, Weinstein, P. Diddy. These are the people that he considers great, looked around. We need to get the Me Too movement back into it, because we would not stand for anybody in the United States, at work, in school, or in the street, or anybody coming out and speaking to any of our daughters, our wives, or any women out there. And we have the most powerful man in the world using the most powerful pulpit in the world, going out there and now degrading, abusing women at work. We need to put an end to it and use that as a unification, and to unite us again, just like we use the Epstein files, unite everybody, independents, Republicans, everybody out there, because everybody has a mother, everybody has a daughter, everybody has a daughter, a friend that knows to stand up to say enough is enough, because that is his another, like Wash says, Achilles cankel that we need to do. And otherwise, everything else, guys, Substack is our home. So your subscriptions, your paid subscriptions help us, expand, build this family, build this movement to be able to do whatever we can to put an end to Donald Trump's authoritarian reign.
That's fantastic. And thanks all of the 2,600 people who are joining us. I was talking to Katie Phang for the first 30 minutes. We're talking about the confederacy of dunces that make up the Trump administration, that when you elect dumbasses, you shouldn't be surprised when you get dumbass results. Talking about Pete Hegseth, talking about Donald Trump literally dying before our eyes, talking about Kash Patel, talking about the obscene racism that is their only last play as they're plummeting in the ratings. And then Lev joined about 40 minutes ago, and we unpacked, which I think is one of the biggest scandals, is Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner throwing the United States, our national security, Ukraine, and our European allies under the bus. Thankfully, it was a European ally that leaked the Witkoff Russia 5-minute audio. And how much more are they giving them? How much more of our security, our allies, our businesses, our property are they selling to the highest bidder? It's all transactional for Trump. So if you joined us late, it'll be up on the Left Hook Substack and also Left Substack. Lev remembers everything is free here. There's no paywall. Allow me Lev, if I can. I'm a terrible capitalist, so I have a terrible capitalist Black Friday sale still going on for 2 more days. Everything is free, but if you can become a paid subscriber, this is what helps. I'm independent completely because I say what I say. I'm doing 25% off a Black Friday sale for anyone who's a free subscriber who's willing to support me and become a paid subscriber. $3.50 a month. $38 a year. Super cheap. If you don't have the money, it's okay. If you do have a little bit and you're like, Waj, I've seen you for a year. I like what you do. Please become a paid subscriber. It really helps. I depend on the kindness of strangers. And if you can, become a paid subscriber for Lev and Katie. This will be up later today. Thanks all for watching. Tomorrow I'm back, I think at 12 p.m. with Professor Wolfers. You know him, you love him. I bring him on once a month for the state of the economy, the actual economist and professor who breaks it down. I'll try to have another guest, and then on Friday I'm back with Danielle and I have Crystal Ball coming on. I'm sure there's going to be some other guests along the way. Be kind, folks. Be informed, and please, oh please, don't be a fascist. Thank you, Lev.
Take care, boys.